Hi there, it's me again, Jules Brown on OTCR Off the Cuff Reviews. A chance for me to review some albums in my collection back there, and also some CDs occasionally downstairs. Today I'm going to do the Prefab Sprout album from Langley Park to Memphis, which was released in March 1988, towards the end of March 1988. I remember it well because I bought it when it came out, and because it was released towards the end of the month, which was, you know, most remiss of kitchenware records. Um, One didn't have a lot of money at one's disposal, so I had just a few quid, and I could afford to buy one more record. And I remember it very well being a toss-up between From Langley Park to Memphis, or one of the jangle pop bands that I was into at the time, I suppose, which would have been a safer bet in some respects, because around that time it was mostly that sort of jangly guitar creation records, um, Flying Nun records, those sort of bands I was listening to. But I chose to spend my hard earned cash on this album. That garish cover back in the background there. Bought it from a record shop in Guildford, at the bottom of the high street. Might have been HMV. There might have been two HMVs in Guildford. There was one anyway. I bought it at the bottom of Guildford High Street. I remember it very well because when I first listened to this album, I wasn't keen on it at all. I mean, I was a big fan of Steve McQueen, not the man necessarily, but the album by Prefab. I also liked Swoon as well. So I thought I'd buy this album, and it took me a long time to get into it. I was kind of quite bitter when I bought it, actually, because I was thinking, shit, I should have bought that Chesterfield's album, but I bought this. Anyway, I kind of explain why it took a while. You got to bear in mind I was still 18 years old at the time. I probably didn't know any better than leather jackets and Levi 501s and that sort of thing, jangly guitars. So we start off the album. It starts off the album with the big hit, "The King of Rock and Roll," with its keyboard stabs and ludicrous but fun lyrics. Very much out of kilter with what I was listening at the time. But I've come to sort of kind of be fond of this track. I like Neil Conti's drumming in it. But yeah, those keyboard, I expect Thomas Dolby, there's quite a lot of different keyboard players play on this album. Thomas Dolby, Andy Richards, Wicks, and Gary Mobley. A lot of these guys are kind of session players, have been around the circuit a lot, and probably using, I would imagine, on this album, emulators and maybe the odd Fairlight here and there. Track number 2, it goes seamlessly from "The King of Rock and Roll" into "Cars and Girls," the another single from the album, with its shooby-doo intro and tasteful whispered backing vocals. This song was sort of deemed to be a bit of a dig at Bruce Springsteen, but it's more of I think Paddy McAloon was interviewed about it, and it's more like a hymn to Brucey, really. Some things hurt much more than "Cars and Girls." Yeah, but it's all relative, isn't it? And I'm sure if Paddy had the upbringing as Bruce, then he would have thought the same. But as Brucey, but it's a nice enough song, well produced. Yeah, "Cars and Girls," I'm all right. I'm okay with "Cars and Girls." Track number 3, "I Remember That." Now we're getting onto this filmic feeling here. I sometimes draw parallels between Prefab and 10cc to a certain degree, with their sort of their sort of mindset going back to the 30s and 40s perhaps, and thoughts of previous eras of film. And this has got that film. I mean, this has got that sort of like feels like a dance number from back in the day. Nothing sounds as good as I Remember That. Not a bad little track. Then on to track number 4, Enchanted, with its huge, powerful drum effects and keyboard stabs, which run through it, and there's sort of quite a bizarre backing vocal. Yeah, it has this do 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 enormous. Must be, I guess, a keyboard of the time, an emulator perhaps making that huge noise. So it's another thing about this album. Paddy's singing about romantic stories of your almost filmic, and then using state-of-the-art instruments and getting Thomas Dolby on board to fulfill it. Track number 5 has a guest on it, somebody called Stevie Wonder. You may have heard of him. He plays harmonica on this track. Nightingales, one of my favourite tracks, I think. Top 3 tracks on this. It's in my top 3 tracks on this album. It's a very pleasant sort of music hall, got a bit of a music hall vibe to it. Again, using these guys, these session players, and Thomas Dolby to flesh out the track. Very nice, tasteful number is Nightingales, and that finishes side 2. Side 1. Side 2 starts with Hey Manhattan, which was a single. Again, we have this filmic, I can almost see tops and tails. I can almost see Paddy, pouncing around the stage in tops and tails to Hey Manhattan. Lots of strings in it. Not bad track. That's very smooth, lush number, if you will. Track number 7, this is another one with in-your-face percussive effects and kind of like a faux dub feel to it. This is Knock on Wood. Loads of keys in Knock on Wood. I'm quite a fan of this track, actually. It might take me a while to get into it back in the day, as my bias, maybe slight bias against synthesizers and things, because I was so guitar orientated. But I like Knock on Wood. It juxtaposes the how you have a nice synthesis of the tune, the song, and these strange effects and synthesizer noises going on in it, courtesy of these studio guys. Track number 8, well, what can you say? Complete change of mood. There he was earlier on in the album, sort of chastising Brucey, and here we have Paddy McAloon in the song The Golden Calf, coming on more Kenny Loggins than Bruce Springsteen, if you will. I don't quite know why this one is on the album, just as a kind of change from Knock on Wood. It's a complete change from Knock on Wood with its guitars and sort of chugging along rock and roll-y feel. They may have done better putting the other Cars and Girls B-side on, Vendetta, but that might have been equally out of place on this album. But The Golden Calf is you've got to list that as a filler track. Track number 9, sandwiched. Golden Calf is sandwiched in between 2 great tracks, Knock on Wood and track number 9. Probably my favorite song on the album. Always like this track, even back in the day. I like this one. Nancy, Let Your Hair Down for Me. It's just got these beautiful keys and piano and understated, not too much gadgetry going on. Nancy Let Your Hair Down for me, very romantic number. And then towards the last part of the song, Neil Conti starts doing the hi-hat double time, and it's really excuse me, beautifully effective in this wonderful song. And the last track on the album, The Venus of the Soup Kitchen, I find this a bit of a strange, bizarre track. Has a bit of a Tin Pan Alley feel to it to me. I think Paddy, with his knowledge of music, is well aware of that era of music, and with its whoa, 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 and the chant, the this choral chant in the latter part of the song, which leads to the end of the song. It's quite clever. Not a bad song, but it's not one of my favorite Prefab Sprout songs. The Venus of the Soup Kitchen, even though it includes the title of the album within the lyrics. So there you go. That's my review of From Langley Park to Memphis. So I've got to sort of like bear in mind from that was then, but this is now. So back in the day when I was so disappointed after buying the album and listening to it in all these years on, how many years is it? 32 years on, is that right? Anyway, yeah, I'll give From Langley Park. You're probably thinking, why have I chosen to review this album if you don't like it as much as Steve McQueen and Jordan the Comeback? Well, I might review those later, but I'll give From Langley Park to Memphis. I'm going to give it 7.5 out of 10. I think it falls down on the slightly dated nature of and that cover. I can't get over that cover. The dated feel of the album and the slightly mixed up feel of tracks that are on it, from the Cars and Girls stroke Golden Calf songs to the more percussive and synthetic songs like Knock on Wood. But yeah, there you go. That's my review of Prefab Sprouts From Langley Park to Memphis. Thanks for listening. My name's Jules Brown. This is OTCR. If you want to subscribe, then click on that subscribe button. I'm going to do some more reviews in the future, of course, and pass comments if you want to as well. And thank you very much for tuning in, and have a good rest of the day wherever you are. Thank you. I'm going to sign out now. See you soon.